ultimately, for me, it's where do I create massive discontinuous value that changes a lot of people's lives. As long as that continues to be like an order of magnitude, right? Transformative, not just evolutionary, but transformative, right? That's the modest goal, right? And as long as that's full time at LinkedIn, I'll be doing that at LinkedIn full time. I already serve on a number of boards and make investments, also as a way of doing that. But it's there's only 24 hours.
What do you want to be doing? I mean, do you want to be looking for the next thing, the next startup?
Well, ultimately, right now we're still in kind of mid-flight in helping people understand how LinkedIn transforms their lives. So that's a major part of what I do, because a misconception frequently with LinkedIn is, I think that's for jobs, right? And yes, of course, it is for jobs. That's one of the things that can transform people's lives. But, for example, I think part of what happens when you get into this increasing fluidity in the labor market and there's more interpermeable boundaries between corporations and efforts is, how do you solve problems as you reach out to other people who've tackled similar problems and you ask them, right? So when we were like, okay, well, how do you make a major European launch? We reach out to other people who have done that with kind of global internet companies and say, well, what worked, what didn't work? Because frequently a 30-minute conversation can save you weeks and save you mistakes. And that's really, really important.
But it's always going to be a professional rather than the person.
Yes, well, I think there's a reason why I think that, for example, there's a reason why we work at the office, right? People have different aspects to their lives. There's a professional aspect, a social aspect, etc. I mean, one thing that I frequently, when people say, well, how do I understand, all these things are social networks, how do I understand them? So, one very quick metaphor I frequently use is, MySpace is the bar, right? Facebook is kind of like the home or the backyard or college, whichever is appropriate to you. And LinkedIn is the office, right? And just like human life, like a person may in fact go to a bar and go to work at the office, but at the office they're working, and at the bar they're doing whatever they're doing, drinking. Yeah, most internet companies tend to be flatter in the hierarchy, so we have a relatively flat hierarchy, but like all companies, you have clear lines of command, right? A company tends to resemble more of a military organization than a democracy. And part of the reason for that is because frequently you have to make kind of tough resource trade-off decisions, and those kinds of organizations usually are better at that. Because you need to have one person who is in control and can say, okay, you have responsibility for this, you make that happen. And I think that's true of just about any company, even virtual ones. And ultimately, what I think I will be doing over the next 10 to 20 years is participating in, I don't know how long the LinkedIn thing goes. It could go for years, it could go for decades. My guess is I probably won't be full-time there in 10 years from now. Because I like creating things, and as LinkedIn gets established, and as people understand how it helps them change their professional lives, then it becomes the part of the company just to establish it. So what I likely will be doing 10 years from now is probably investing still as a guest. That's what I have been doing. Probably serving on boards, as I have been doing, and probably then working on trying to figure out how to apply. One of the things I would really like to make sure that is prominent in the next few decades is applying the stuff I've learned about the consumer internet to major structural problems that I think that we as a society are behind on. Environment is obviously one of them. Civics, participation in kind of governmental community, and getting a lot more transparency in government would obviously be a good thing. Education, I think the educational curriculum is horrifically outdated. It doesn't keep pace with the change of societies.
You're talking in each of those cases most about the United States, aren't you?
Well, that's what I know best.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think it is for the environment, for example.
Well,
you're making a lot of progress now. There seems to be a lot of
yeah, well, I think there have been a lot of good efforts. Silicon Valley recently has been doing a whole wave of investing in clean tech as part of acting in the sphere. I mean, I think, for example, in terms of consumer net and environment is, well, if you can cause millions of people to act collaboratively, that's part of how you make a change. So whether that's changing their carbon footprint in terms of how they live, or organizing them politically, or helping them get everyone else informed about what makes a difference in the environment, all of those things are useful applications and can be at very least supported by the consumer internet, right? So that would be an example.